Hello and welcome to Art on the Creek. Today we're going to work on this Grabie DIY calendar. You can see they've got all the months of the year. I will have an affiliate link and a coupon down below so that if you guys are interested in picking this up and enjoying most of the rest of the year, you sure can. Otherwise, just enjoy the journey as we paint this together. I'm going to do one of these every month. I promised myself in January that I would do this on time. And here we are past Valentine's Day, so that means it's time for March. This paper is really nice. It is 100% cotton, and it measures upside down. My ruler's upside down. It measures 5 by 7. So if you wanted to, you could frame these really easily by trimming off the excess, or you could frame it including the month. That sometimes looks kind of cool. This Grabie set is, frankly, it overwhelmed me at first, but I really like it and it's organized really well. It's just a fun hobby set. Look at all those iridescent paints. You have 4 rows of them there. And then they start at the top with the earth tones going into these neons on the top part of that lower fold there. So everything corresponds really well, of course, with the pans that are included. And it's just, they've got some nice yellows in here. So I was thinking, springtime's coming, let's do a daffodil. I really like daffodils. To me, they're kind of just a happy little flower that just means that spring is on the way. So I think I've got a good photo for us from Pixabay here. Let's pick that up. I'm feeling really loose and kind of fun today with my art, so I think I like this one. I like this extreme close-up view. I'll put a link in the description to this photo as well so you don't have to go hunting for it, but I really like the shadows on there, the lines and the petals. I just kind of like the hyper close-up view. So I'm going to put that up here where I can see it, and then I will link to that photo in the description so that you guys can go ahead and click on that, download it, print it out, do whatever you want with it if you're going to paint along today. So like I said, the paints I'm using are these Grabie paints. It's a set of 96. It comes in a really thick tin. It's kind of portable. I mean, it depends on how much room you have and how light you want to travel, but the pans are half pans, and they're in kind of a, I'm going to call it a number 2 plastic. I'm not really sure if that's correct, but it's like a plastic form that has dents in it, and then the pans are just in there. You can remove that entire piece and just go ahead and use this as a tin to store paintbrushes or something else once your paints are all done. However, if you had this for your paint set that you want to use around the house and or not on anything you're going to hang up on the wall too much, because they wouldn't be light fast. These are definitely hobby paints. You wouldn't need to ever buy any other paints to use because there are so many in here. I really like them. They re-wet easily, very easy to use. To sketch this, I'm going to use a photo blue pencil, and I'm starting off with those, I'm going to call them pistils and stamens. All you botanists out there, if that's not correct, leave me a note in the comments. I don't know. It's, my retention of what I learned in high school biology is fading quickly, because that was, my friends, many, many years ago. More than 40 years ago now, and quite a bit more than 40 years, and those numbers just keep going up. So the fuzzy parts in the middle of the flowers that make it either male or female, the part that the bee likes to roll around in, that's the part that I'm going to do first. And then I'm doing this inner cup of petals here. I really like how it's got that ruffle on top. When I sketch this, I'm just really being very loose. I wanted to start in the center so that I could lay this out kind of the way I wanted it, because the orientation of the photo that I'm using is not really the orientation of the space that I have here. So if you start with that center, then you'll be able to kind of squoosh it. That's a technical term, squoosh. Squoosh it into the format that you need to make it look the way you want it to. I am really enjoying this photo blue pencil. This one is just a pack of 6 that I bought by Cezanne. I first used photo blue pencils when I was doing newspaper layout and paste up. Back in the ancient days, we used to have to roll wax on the back of the articles as they were printed out, and then we would paste them up on the big blue sheets, or they were white actually with little blue lines on them for a grid. And the paste up pencils, all the corrections were made with these photo blue pencils, so they're kind of just near and dear to me, very reminiscent of my younger days in newspaper writing and editing. Let's see here. The brush that I'm using is that angle shader. That's a Princeton Aqua Elite. I really like these brushes. They are synthetic sable. And I like the synthetic sable because they hold water just a little bit differently than the squirrel. The squirrel or synthetic squirrel, very juicy, very wet, really wants that water. But this way the liquid water tends to roll off of the brush a little more in a controlled fashion. At least for me it does. So if you're curious about the difference between a squirrel and a sable, that's what I have found out. And again, I don't have any of the pure animal fur brushes. I always have the synthetic. It just is a matter of availability to me and cost. It's not that I'm looking for something vegan, although I know that a lot of that is important to you guys. So I wanted to mention that. Read about your brushes in case you didn't know whether or not they are vegan. At any rate, okay, Chelsea Blue is the color that I'm using right now. And that's the other thing about when you get a hobby set. You'll find a lot of the times that the blues, all of the colors have names that are fun. They're not necessarily the name that you would find on a paint such as, you know, cobalt turquoise. Like for here, I'm not saying this is the same thing, but we have the color ocean, we have blue sapphire, we have peacock. So these are kind of the fun names that you run into. So the first one we're using is a Chelsea Blue. And I'm noticing that on my brush I might have a little bit of old paint in there, some red or something. So that might be a little bit of casting some pink in there, but that's okay because we're just going to use it as our shadow. And the other part of the light that I'm seeing in here is this yellow that's reflected down on the leaves. For that, I'm going in with the Bumblebee shade, which is kind of a warm yellow, very sunny yellow. And you can really see with the contrast of that Chelsea Blue, just how happy that little yellow looks. And I'm just putting little bits down. And now I'm coming back in with the just a water on the brush and just kind of spreading that around, letting it dissipate a little bit. That's the funnest thing for me about watercolor, is that you can really manipulate it. And I just like going in with a lot of energetic strokes like this, just really being free with it and just having a lot of fun. I'm not a precise person. I don't have the patience for it. If you want to go in and make this look really truly realistic and that's your style, you know, go for it. I would never stop you, but my style is definitely to be free, loose, and energetic. The second brush that I'm going to be using here is by Kanchan Kaul. This is another artist that I just happened to run across on one of the social platforms. I think it was Instagram. And I can link to her website here, so in case these brushes interest you, you can check those out as well. This color is a warm orange, kind of called Tiger. If you don't have this particular set, the colors that I would recommend using would be kind of a, let me think about that blue for a minute. But the yellow I would use is any kind of warm yellow. Anything you have, a Hansa yellow, anything like that would be great. You could even get into an Indian yellow if you wanted to. And then that Tiger is really almost a transparent orange. If you're looking for a good transparent orange, by the way, Winsor Newton has a great one. None of this is sponsored, by the way. Grabie did send me these things as a gift collaboration, and I like to share them with you guys so that we can see our adventure of completing this calendar together. But I did pay for the brushes on my own, and I also paid for the liner that we're going to use on my own. It's Winsor Newton, and it just happens to be that these are the brands that I fell on and that I really enjoy. You know, I'm not necessarily advocating that this is what you need to get. The best thing that you need to do is use the supplies that you have on hand, number one. But if you are looking for something new, then I like to demonstrate several different brands on the channel so that you guys can kind of see how they work and see if it's something that you're interested in. These Kanchan Kaul brushes, she's an artist who is really gifted in florals, and I just love the point on these brushes. Now these are man-made filament, and look at that, you can get that lacy edge down so easily. And this is the part of many of you while you're painting or rather this is the part for many of you while you're painting when you say, oh my gosh, what hot mess have I put down here, and I'm leaving. I hate this. I'm walking away. Please don't do that. Please keep painting. It just means that you're not done yet. For me, the hot mess stage came, right about here when I started to put these veins in. The outer space, which is kind of like a Davies gray, it's a warm gray. I really like the dry brush technique that I'm using here to just kind of suggest where these shadows in the leaves are. And as I got going, petals. As I got going on this, I became a little bit more confident and happy with my choice here. At first, it was such a shocking difference that I really didn't like it. I go through that every single time with my art. So if you run into that with your art and you are continually throwing things away because you think, oh gosh, I'll never do it, I'll never be good enough, just keep going. I swear to you, I promise to you, it just means that you're not done yet. It's really hard to keep going sometimes and just convince yourself that you got this and you can do this. But just keep my voice in your head. Go, just keep going and just keep trying. And before you know it, you'll come up with a really nice result that you didn't think was possible. It may not be your best work ever, but every bit of art, for me, for everyone, for people who have years and years more experience than I do, will tell you that it is about the journey. You know, I had with somebody, that phrase tends to get so overused, but I did have somebody say recently to me that, I can't remember if they were talking about Tesla or Einstein, so there you go. Maybe I didn't retain it that well, but let's use Tesla for an example. When he was inventing his coils, the big Tesla coils, he had many, many fails first. So what he discovered was that's not how it's done. And that's what you need to learn, is that all of us, when we are creating art, if we look at something as a failure, maybe what we did learn is, well, the goal I was going for, maybe that's not the direct, straight path to that goal, but look at all these other things I found. Look at what I found that you can do if you paint wet on wet, if you don't let that damp area dry all the way. Look what effect you can create. So rather than shooting yourself down every time and deciding that you're not worthy and that you can't do it, maybe try and find a little bit positive. I know that sounds corny. I know that sounds overused, but I really do mean it. I think that all of us have a little bit of an artist buried in us somewhere, and you can apply this to anything, whether it's creating an outfit for yourself or helping your kids with their homework, whatever you are being asked to do that feels just a little bit out of your comfort zone. Go for it, because you will either find out that you will discover many ways where it can be done better, and then you'll know why, which is so much more important than just the knowing. The knowing why is so much more important. Or you will discover, hey, I actually can do that. And you know what? There's nothing better in this world than being able to pat yourself on the back and say, you know what? I'm okay. I did that. Because, you know, what is it? Is it Jelly Roll that has the song out? None of us are okay, or I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I think that's what it is. And I think that's true. I think that there's a lot of pressure from social media, to name only one source, for us to have these great, beautiful days and eat this wonderful food and travel everywhere. But, you know, we're all just trying to get by. And I am pretty raw and real here on my channel. And I will tell you that my art is never going to win any prizes right off the bat, but I sure enjoy it. And the one thing I really want to do is to share that with you, because it's really, for me, not about the talent so much. It's about how I feel when I create art. And I think that it's something that is such a gift that I really want to share with all of you. And I have learned from my mistakes, and I will share those with you so that you guys can hopefully grow in wherever you are on your journey as an artist. For the background, this is what I wanted to do to help those white leaves stand out. You can always go in with a dark background and then create kind of some negative space. Fill in that negative space and create this pop of color with this white. Because when we have white in watercolor, we want to preserve the white of our paper. We don't really want to paint with white. So this is one really great way to make that white stand out. And on this palette here, I'm going in with a pine and then kind of dropping in old moss green or the moss. I told you I was going to let you know what color that Chelsea blue would equate to. I would say a lavender. If you have a lavender, that would be really nice. The pine, probably the color that I'm seeing in it really looks like kind of a Daniel Smith Cascade green, kind of a cool green. And then the old moss green or the moss, any of olive colors that you have would work really well. I just making this really exceptionally wet, and you can see I'm getting a bead along the top there, which we're going to take care of here in just a moment. Because I don't want that to come back and have a hard line. So I'm just kind of blotting the edge, picking up that little bead of water. And I really like how the little lifted areas look. So I'm going to give it a chance for gravity to flow that down just a tiny bit. And I'm going to come back in with a little tip of my paper towel here and just create some little blotting effects. That'll kind of give us a very, very slight feeling of bokeh. Bokeh is that effect of the light where it tends to look like little bubbles in the background. This is one way to do it. It's a very, very easy way to do a little bit of a bokeh effect. We've got such a small area here that just tapping off little bits of the color while it's wet is really a good way to do kind of a suggestive of bokeh here. I do have a couple of tutorials on how to do that bokeh effect in different ways, and I can put a link to my bokeh playlist up here in the right hand corner for you in case you're interested. So let's move on now. I think what I want to do is add a little bit of liner to this. Now this is again a Winsor Newton product, but I am in love with this liner. It's a 0.3 cool gray, and you'll see when I draw on here that it really comes out quite dark, but that's one of the other reasons that I really like the gray, because I didn't want to go in with a really thick black marker and just make it so pronounced. I didn't want it to look quite that cartoony. It's going to look a little cartoony. Once you do line and wash, it does have that look, but I like the loose sketching look that I can get with this marker, so we're gonna go with this Winsor Newton. I really like the tip of it here too. I'm trying to get the picture to come back up on my iPad, but you can see the way that the tip is nicely tapered and the barrel of the pen is so easy to hold. This fine liner is actually one of my favorite brands, and I noticed that it comes in a sepia. I want to say it comes in black as well. I'm assuming that, but I will link to this one in the description, and there'll be affiliate links down there in case you guys are interested in checking some of these things out. This is something that I ended up, I think it came in an art subscription box at one point, and I have fallen in love with this marker. I don't know that I've ever seen them in my my local area, my local art stores, but I know that you can get them on Amazon in multi-packs and different links. If I can find the link on SketchBox where I would have gotten this from, then there will be a link to that as well down below. Yeah, all kinds of affiliate links down there in case you're interested. So I'm just putting in some little hash mark shading here, and now the fun begins. Going around this lacy edge, I love being so free with this little delicate fine line and just creating this loose, squiggly edge around the top of these inner petals. Now I'm going to kind of go in again and do the lower edge, and I am just making this up, you guys. I'm not following anything. I'm really just scribbling along, thinking that following the initial blue lines that I put down for where I think the folds in those initial petals are, but really just kind of squiggling, swirling around. So easy. You don't have to be exact because that is a lot to pay attention to. All you have to do really is just suggest that those edges are curly, and with doing that double row of curly, edgy, squiggly lines, that's it. Voila, we're done. We've got the curls. And now I'm just going to really loosely go around the ends here as well, the edge of these petals. And I'm just kind of lifting my pen up every now and then, so I really don't have anything too harsh in a way of a line. I just really wanted these to be very loose and just kind of suggest that that's where the edge of things lies. So let's see, and there we have it. I think we're done. I'm going to go ahead and sign this, but let's add some sparkle because this set has so many sets of sparkly pans. How can I not? I think I'm looking at this and I think definitely I love it, but I think it needs just a little something extra. So here we go with some splatters. These iridescent paints are very much like every other iridescent paint brand that I've used, where they really do best if you wet them first. So I did that off camera there. The color that I'm using to splatter is light goldenrod, and I thought I would go ahead and tap a few little bits down in on those stamens and pistils themselves. And there you go. Here's our little entry for today. We've got all 3 months of the year so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm happy to be back. I hope you're happy to hear my voice again, and I am going to come back with lots of great reviews for you this year. We've got a lot of things going on for our members, so if there's anything that you have questions about or you're interested in, leave me a note in the comments, and we will see you next time. Have a great creative week, everybody. Bye now.